Hi there, knife people here, lady and gentlemen. This is installment or episode number 1 in my series or season talking about, let me try say it, XARILK. XARILK? 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 I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I like the X in the beginning because I'm CBRX. So, you probably watched a bunch of videos from gentlemen who were given this device by the company to sort of promote it and show the rudimentary unboxings and assembly of this device. Those videos were sufficient for me to make a purchasing decision here, and I have not regretted. That said, this first episode will be entirely dedicated to making sure that you don't repeat a couple of mistakes that I've already made. You need to be mindful of what is perfect or imperfect coming from the factory. None of the issues covered here are insurmountable. In fact, they're very easy to address. And let's just get into it. I am not going to insult your intelligence by showing you how to pull these components out of the box. I'll just mention that this comes as an assembly. You don't have to worry about it. Um, and everything else comes in these pieces. These may be screwed in. Me, one was, one wasn't. And then it has these sticky pads. I tried it both ways, with and without. And my conclusion is I'm going to peel them off because I don't think you need to use them. Now, if you're going to sharpen a blade with some kind of coating that you're afraid that this anodized aluminum will damage, just put a piece of scotch tape here and you will be better off than using the pads that they provide. Okay, so first and foremost assumption that you should not be making is that it's perfectly assembled from the factory. You have to go over each and every screw, set screw, and thumb screw on this machine to understand what they do and whether or not they properly adjusted. The main reason I came across that thought was you can see here when I locked it after just sharpening one knife, there was a play here. This is a tensioner lock style, kind of like on your bicycle. And if you look in there, you will find that there's this metal bushing there with a set screw on each side. And if you don't see both of them, you can rotate them thusly until you line them up in this direction. Okay, then you will need some kind of metric Allen wrench set. I'm using my bicycle tool. And you will need to find the one that fits these set screws. You need to open this lever up, make sure it's in a fully extended position, and the holder here, that rail here, is in a horizontal orientation, and then you're just going to tighten those set screws. You don't have to crank them super tight. I'm actually considering putting Loctite on it, but it's up to you because I have a feeling that they will be periodically need to be checked. And now this lever is a lot tighter, but the play is eliminated. Okay, so one more time. 2 set screws, make sure you see both, make sure you tighten both, apply Loctite if you have to. Here I eliminated all the rocking, even though now it's a little harder to operate this lever. You cannot trade it off. If you don't address that immediately, you will get this. I don't know if it'll show on camera. I used it to sharpen. Just don't look at this straight away. Look at the, where's my lens? Zoom. You can see there's a little bit of a edge wobble there. These set screws came nice and loose, and you can see there's a edge wobble. So easy fix. I spend a lot of time emphasizing how important it is because it's absolutely critical to the quality of your edge. You cannot underestimate how important it is. The second item I'd like to talk about is this pivot bearing. I think that's the term that's used for this type. Engineers out there tell me if I'm wrong. Basically, it's a bearing bushing combination that the guide rod goes through. The instructions aren't clear on how deep it needs to sit there. I chose to sit it all the way in, and we'll get into that a little more in the next installment. The instruction booklet that came with it, it shows it at certain height, but they don't actually go into detail on what that height should be and why. So, critical finding number 3 here deals with the angle adjustment mechanism. As you can see, it's also a tensioning lever here. And when I loosen it up completely, this is what it does. There's a spline gear on the other end of this knob, and it meshes with teeth right here on the spine of this mast. So when it's loose like that, it can just traverse under its own weight. Your task number 3 is to find a sweet spot where the lever is engaged to the extent where you can still move this, but there's no wobble between the mast and the gearbox here. I'll show you why it's important. So don't worry about the angle. I just want to show you that when I apply pressure now, of course this wobbles, so when I apply pressure, there's almost no play. See that? I'm pushing, no play. If I loosen it up where it's easy to move, now there's more play. Like if it's right here, this whole thing will move. And when you set your angle, you will need to do this, what I'm doing here. And then you set, let's say you set your angle, now you're tightening it. Look how much it's changed. Now, to some people, 2/10 of a degree is not a big deal, but to me it is. So you need to find that sweet spot where you can almost no longer operate. Don't worry, you will not damage anything here because of how the gears mesh. It just whether it will go or not go. So right now, I can tighten all the way, and I'm still there. You know, that's my hand moving. Um, Again, this movement here is not important. The critical part is relation between where your blade is and where the mast is. Next thing, I'm mentioning it here. You probably would arrive to it on your own. I just don't want you to mess up even a single sharpening, because I forgot to do that, so I don't want you to forget. So this is how the rod assembly assembles. You screw it in. As you can see, they put a very nice conical surface here that engages the nut side of this. And you need to screw it all the way in as tight as you can get. Once it's tight, you have to crank down on this thumb screw pretty hard. In fact, if you are not planning to disassemble between sharpenings, you can actually put Loctite right there because you never want this connection to come loose. If it comes loose, you will mess up the sharpening angle for sure. Now we're on item number 5, which is another set screw right here. Now, mine wasn't loose from the factory, but I was able to turn it another quarter turn. So even though the play wasn't there yet, eventually if you untighten it, it loosens on that rod here that protrudes into this locking mechanism. So you want that to be tight as well. Number 6, after any use where you need to move these clamps, adjust the spread of these clamps. Every time before you do it, I recommend you completely take a clamp off and wipe down this rail here. Because if you have any debris there, the clamp will not sit itself at a proper 90-degree angle to the surface. And don't forget to clean the back of the clamp itself, like I just did. I call it shop culture, and it's easy to forget to do these little things, but critical. Item number 7, we're going to deal with a 400-pound gorilla in the room, which is blade length versus how this is designed. So let me show you real quick. If you have them as close together as you can, as you can see, this is a 3-inch blade. I can only clamp it on one side, right? If I was trying to go straight across like this. If I don't use double clamp, even with a short blade, I can get some motion, especially if I'm using rougher media, like 320. So what you can do here is clamp it in this position. There's a great video out there by Outdoors 56 that explains that on a fixed angle sharpener, this angle doesn't matter. What matters is your initial angle, and it's continuous throughout the entire sharpening, which is something that I learned from him. Originally, I thought that was not the case. So it doesn't matter if you're setting up your knife here or there or in the middle as far as grinding straight away portion of the blade. I like to set my blades up like so at an angle. This way, my angle variation from belly from the curved to the straightaway is within a quarter degree or less. This is what it would look like here. I'm not going to get in the angles today, but I would like you to take a look at the beautiful edge I put on this knife. I thought I was done filming this video, but something important needs to be told. I got a comment on my other video where I teased this sharpener for the first time, released a couple days ago. And the comment came from a gentleman named Roddy Dog, who goes apparently by the name Tom. And that's why, folks, I think you should always read comments, at least on my channel, because I have some of the most knowledgeable and intelligent people commenting under my videos, and you're really missing out on some cool knowledge if you don't read them. Just saying. All right, so Roddy Dog said that he has this exact sharpener, and when he puts these plates in, the spring tension here causes the clamp here to close up, and that bows these plastic stones. I had to double check, so can I bow it? Yes, indeed I can, and it doesn't take a lot of force. He suggested purchasing TS Prof plates that have metal backing here and remain solid. I'm just going to say this. TS Prof is not in the stars from me. I have to find a simpler and possibly less expensive solution. So, and you can probably guess it already. So you can indeed see that it's bowed. You can put this stone on it and you can see there's maybe half a degree of bow, and it's arching pretty consistently because this spring is super tight. I find this important enough that I went and grabbed my scale, and I will demonstrate to you how much of the bow there is. And to do this, I'm using my iMini Olight. So you can see it's rocking, and with the light it actually looks worse than I initially thought. So what is my simple fix? Get the light out of the way here. First I need to make sure one more time that the thumb screw is loose. And then just apply a little bit of a pressure to reverse this bow downwards, and then tighten the thumb screw. Let's see if it worked. And we're back to flat. And now I can easily slide, well, not easily, I can slide the plate out and swap another plate in. And I don't know if you can see it here, but I put 180 in because I wanted to make sure that doing it thusly does not result into the plate loosening it up or coming off during the sharpening. And it didn't. And this plate is flat as well. Try it out and let me know in the comments how it went. So Roddy Dog 68, huge shout out to you from me and from my viewers. And speaking of the viewers, all right, viewers, let's enumerate the 8 things we did today, recap them right now. Number 1, we tightened the set screws on the pivot lock mechanism here, the swivel lock to be precise. We then set the pivot bearing all the way in, and I'll explain why I chose to do it this way in the next video. Number 3, we found that sweet spot on the angle adjust that allows you to change the angle without causing any wobble between the mast and the gearbox here. Number 4, we remembered to screw the rod all the way in and then set the thumb screw super tight so that it, under no circumstances, will come loose during the sharpening. Very important. Number 5, there is another set screw right here that also need to be double checked and potentially tightened, because that will mess you up as well by not allowing the swivel to clamp all the way into the mechanism here. Number 6, simple but important. Every time you change the position of these clamps, clean the rail and the back of the clamp to ensure proper engagement between those two surfaces. Otherwise, the clamp itself can change the angle of your sharpening. Number 7, the setup of the clamps is based on the length of the blades. Put them together for shorter blades, spread them apart for longer blades. And number 8, you just saw how to fix the bowing of the sharpening plates. Simple. All right, now this is where I'm going to, first of all, thank everyone who hits likes and shares the link. Sharing the link sets YouTube algorithm in a frenzy. It starts sharing the video with more and more viewers, so I appreciate that. Huge shout out to everyone who donates to the channel via the super thanks. It's inspiring and humbling at the same time to receive those. I appreciate that. And finally, be advised that I'm putting affiliated Amazon links for all these items that I'm showing in this series of videos just about this sharpener, because those are tutorials. Those are not review videos. Those are tutorials. And I actually paid for this sharpener, by and large, not the entire amount, but a huge portion, like about 70% of the price was paid by Amazon kickbacks that I got from people using my affiliate links. As you can see, this is proof positive that all the money that I gain from the channel go right back into the channel. And I appreciate any help you can offer here so that I can keep this baby rolling and continue delivering to you unbiased and interesting content.
Sharpen in the morning, sharpen in the night. I don't need no food, my knife is my delight. With my trusty sharpener, I don't need a life. All I need is my knife and everything feels right.